Oh my, look at her tribal marks. Hee hee, so unusual.
I love them. They make her unique.
I'll never forget the look on the bride's face when she walked into the wedding hall, her tribal marks exposed for all to see. The whisper started almost immediately. People stared, then snickered behind their hands, some even pointed. It was clear, her marks were not the kind of thing most people were used to. The disrespect was instant, and I could feel her heart breaking. Let me take you back a bit. The bride, Adoma, was from a proud tribe, one with deep cultural roots. Her tribal marks were not just a part of her identity, they were a symbol of her heritage, a piece of her mother's legacy passed down through generations. But at that moment, on her wedding day, those marks became the subject of cruel gossip. I was sitting in the back of the hall, just behind some of the guests who were too busy whispering to notice what was going on. The groom, Idris, stood by the altar, looking calm and collected. But I could see it in his eyes, the tension. He knew what was happening. As Adoma walked down the aisle, her head held high, the crowd's murmurs grew louder. Some people even started laughing, loud, uncomfortable laughter that made everyone around them shift uncomfortably. But Adoma didn't waver. She didn't look down, didn't flinch. She just kept walking, but I could see the pain in her eyes. When she reached the altar, she could hardly look Idris in the face. It was clear her confidence was shaken. She was still standing tall, but you could feel her insecurities creeping in. Idris, though, didn't miss a beat. As soon as she reached him, he reached out and gently cupped her face. Everyone held their breath. There was no telling what he was going to do. He didn't speak to the crowd. No harsh words or confrontations. No public outbursts. Instead, he did something that completely shifted the mood of the room. With his hands on her face, he whispered something to her, something only she could hear. I couldn't make it out, but it made Adoma's face soften. She nodded, and for a moment, the tension between them vanished. The crowd, however, had no idea what was happening. Idris turned his back to the audience, keeping his hands on Adoma's face. Then, without warning, he lifted her veil, something no one expected. What they saw shocked everyone. Idris had marks of his own, tribal marks, just like Adoma's. Not just one or two, but several. He had been hiding them under his suit, but now, there they were for everyone to see. The same exact marks, running down his cheeks, his forehead, his arms. The crowd fell silent, and you could hear a pin drop. Idris looked out at the guest, his gaze cold. He didn't say a word, but everyone got the message. His marks were a part of him, just like Adoma's were a part of her. He wasn't ashamed. And neither should she be. There was no more laughter, no more whispers. The silence that followed was deafening. But Idris didn't care. He took Adoma's hand and gently led her to the altar, where they exchanged their vows. That moment, when the groom, with his own tribal marks, stood by his bride, changed everything. The room was no longer divided. People couldn't mock her now. How could they? Idris had turned the whole situation upside down. The ceremony went on smoothly after that, but the mood was different. It wasn't just a wedding anymore, it was a declaration. A declaration that their heritage was something to be proud of. A declaration that no matter what anyone thought, they would stand by each other, flaws and all. When the vows were done, and they kissed, the room erupted in applause. But this time, it wasn't out of obligation or politeness. It was real. It was from the heart. People were moved. I could see the respect in their eyes, respect for both of them. If you ask me, it was the most powerful moment of the day. Not the wedding, not the decorations, not the party afterwards. But that moment when Idris stood with his bride, showing the world that their marks, their heritage, were not something to be ashamed of. It made me think about my own identity. I wondered if I could stand that tall if I was ever judged. Would I have the strength to face the crowd? Would I have someone beside me who would do what Idris did for Adoma? The lesson here is simple: our marks, our scars, they don't define us. They're just parts of our journey, part of our story. But you know what? That moment, it wasn't just a victory for Adoma. It was a victory for everyone who's ever been mocked or judged for who they are. We all have something to be proud of, something unique. We shouldn't let anyone take that away from us. So, if you've ever been through something like this, or if you believe in standing up for what's right, share this story. Let's make it go viral. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let's keep spreading the message that we should stand tall in the face of judgment, because we're all unique, and that's what makes us powerful.